at Liberty Classical Academy. Thanks for coming. I know you've been busy doing the news circuit, so it means a lot that you're here. Just one question I think we're all wondering. Have you had any further correspondence with Kanye? And if you could comment on the TMZ interview and people saying that was a total meltdown.
Right.
I know you commented on that briefly, but if there's any hope that he might be able to, crack open a Thomas Sowell book or research something
Right, yeah.
which would be helpful for culture.
So, no, Kanye is not a politician. He's not like, here's what I can tell you is, so the TMZ interview was, he has been trying to help be the fuel to my rocket ship, if that makes sense, right? So he wanted to crack open this conversation so people started talking about this, which is all they can talk about right now is Kanye West, because he wasn't supposed to be saying that. But he's tremendously interested in philosophy. He's following Jordan Peterson and, all of these other thinkers and doers, Charlie Kirk. Yes, I have had more correspondences with him, and yes, I can confirm to you that this is just the beginning. It's going to get a lot bigger, and they think that they are silencing him by running all these articles, but they are just going to make his voice even louder. He 100% wants to, he doesn't want to be a politician, but he will have a great impact on politics, and you'll see all of that within the next month. Hi.
Hey, Candace, how you doing? I'm a
Good.
big fan of yours. Well, I'm a Christian YouTuber, conservative Christian YouTuber. I've been a conservative YouTuber for over 2 years. I was censored ever since they started censoring people. And I just want to say it is a great privilege and honor just to have you here.
Thank you.
And so I'm Tori Slater, but I'm also known as Christian Deron. And I just want to tell you, just to be here in this microcosm of insanity, living here in Minnesota, I'm going to tell you, I'm mentally vexed all the time. So, Candace, my question is for you, since from one YouTuber to another YouTuber, I'm just wondering, after this, do you have 10 minutes for an interview for my channel?
Oh, today?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I can do that today, yes. I will do it. Oh, ha, hello.
Yes. Hi, I'm Regina Reed, Republican. Since the Nixon campaign, I worked on that. I had raised more money for Shirley Chisholm, and the Democrats called and asked me who was my donors, my contributors. At that time, you didn't need to if you collected less than $100. I told them I did not. And she called me back later that day and said, we're coming to your house and we're going to beat you until you give us your list. And I said, well, being a good Mississippi, cotton-picking, corn-fed, molasses-making black woman, you bring it in my garage. I have a double-blade axe. I said, pitchfork and a single-blade axe and a crowbar. I'll be sitting on my steps waiting for you, and I'm going to chop you down in the ground till I get tired, get down, sit down, rest, get up and beat you some more, so bring it, hung up the phone. Called my friend, and she said, we're going to become, my family never gave up Republican Party in Louisiana. And she said, I know your folks in Mississippi had not. So she took me to the Nixon headquarters, and I worked there, and I ended up attending the inaugural and had the pleasure of meeting. Someone introduced me to the president and his wife on the dance floor, and it was really nice. And listen, tell them they want Angie. I'll take you as my daughter, my granddaughter, whatever. I've been here since the beginning of time.
So sweet.
God bless you.
Sound like my grandfather. That's what my grandfather always says. He lives down in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and he always says, anybody messes with my grandbaby? Like, he's got all the same stuff in his shed, so.
Hi, my name is Coffee Monska, and I'm a conservative. And I encourage you, as Candace said, to meet each other. I met a friend here who's also an attorney, and we started a conservative group together for meeting at one of these American Experiment events. But my question is I struggle with courage to speak up because I'm so afraid of violence. I would go to some liberal events to speak up, these cop events, and my kids would say, "Be careful walking to your car, Mom," because they're so afraid of the liberals also, from what they see on TV. But, sorry, now I'm forgetting my, my question is, the thing that people say most to me is, well, if you have these views, that means you don't think racism exists. You don't think it even happens. You're a denier. You're a Holocaust denier. You're a racism denier. So how do you get the same kind of comments, and what is your reply?
Well, I usually laugh. I just think it's ridiculous. The slope is so slippery. Like I said to you, like they have me now as like an Italian mob boss, which I kind of cool. I hope I get the Al Pacino treatment when everything is said and done. But listen, what I always say is, does racism exist? Yes. It's always existed, and it's never going to be defeated. Like, there's always going to be someone that hates somebody. Like, this is just a form, this is just, this is what happens because we are human beings. Human beings love and human beings hate for silly reasons. So what I always do tell them is that racism is no longer a problem, right, that is stopping me from being anything that I want to be in society. There is no law preventing me as a black woman from doing the same thing that's stopping him as being a white man. It doesn't exist. And if they ask them to point to it. You know, I'm happy to add my voice and say, yes, we are being systematically oppressed. They can point to me to the law that is preventing me from being successful. And so what they're able to do, the left, is chain people to this idea, A, that society is perfectible. It isn't. I hate to spoil, there are people that are always going to hate white people. There are people that are always going to hate black people. There are people that are always going to hate Uber drivers. I mean, this is just human beings, right? But that is what you should definitely challenge them to have the dialogue and the conversation and say, okay, if you're telling me that, racism is something that I should be concerned with every single day, can you tell me how it's preventing me from being great in my life? And if they can't answer that, they should probably get out of your way. That's my opinion.
My name is Claire Christensen. I'm a senior at Providence Academy. I was wondering if you could give any advice to debating with people who fundamentally disagree with you.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of this controversy isn't really going anywhere because people aren't willing to listen or accept that maybe their opinion isn't correct.
Right. So debating is, I'm going to say two things. First thing is that I realize that it is very hard because some people don't want to debate because they know that they have no logics behind their emotions. So a lot of times when we descend on these campuses, we'll literally get like a group of protesters, like the Black Lives Matter video that went viral, and people were like, oh, I shut them down, and was like, kind of rude. What people don't see is that they were literally screaming the entire time, just saying like, F the police, talking over us. And when we said, everybody, you're welcome to come up with us and debate us, like we actually, if you disagree with us, come to the front of the line and we'll hand you a microphone so we can have this. They didn't do it. They literally wanted to sit there so they could just scream and shout and be emotional. So it's hard to debate, I think, because a lot of them understand that when pressed to do that, they're incapable of it because it's all emotions and very little fact or logic. But for people that are actually willing to have the dialogue, you'll usually hit some common ground because they're willing to have the conversation. The best thing to do is not to debate them, but allow them to debate themselves. So the number one strategy that Charlie Kirk gave me was ask them questions. They ask a question, let them keep walking themselves forward. So I had a girl get up and she said, I think, Milo Yiannopoulos is a white supremacist. And I said, oh, okay, what is the definition of white supremacy? She stopped. Because Milo, tons of things that I disagree with that he does and has said, but the idea that he's a white supremacist, he's married to a black man. It's like, it's really a little ludicrous to call someone who's married to a black man a white supremacist. And she couldn't do it. So I just kept asking her questions, and in the end, she wanted to stop because she couldn't answer her own questions. So the best debate strategy is to ask them to sort of explain themselves, and they always fall into a trap because there's very little logic there. You're welcome.
Hi, Candace. My name is Anna Doval, and this year we have all dealt with the liberal indoctrination in public schools. I go to high school at Edina, and
I don't know what that is, but sounds scary.
we have
some reaction.
We've been told to apologize for being conservative by teachers. I've been locked out of classrooms. There's a lot more, but I was just wondering how do we stand up to this? Because in the end, they are adults, and we are taught, I know I was raised to listen to adults, so.
Right. So not those kind, trust
Yeah.
me. So what you need to do is you need to make them famous, okay? You have a lot of power in your hand. You live in a generation where you have a smartphone, where anybody that's doing something like that can be on the internet tomorrow. We had a girl do that recently. I think she was in Georgia when the textbook was already recreating the history of how Donald Trump came into office. And they wrote that it was because of racism in the country, and she stood up. I think her mother, she recorded what the teacher was saying in class, and it went viral. What you have to understand is this is bubbling at the surface. This is not a time where they can get away with that, okay? You put that on the internet, I can guarantee you write that in an email to what we do at Turning Point USA with our professor and teacher watch list is exactly that. We're not going to say what should be done to the teacher, but we are happy to make those teachers famous if they believe that that's what they should be telling students.
Hi, my name's Will Knopic. I go to Edina High School as well.
Ooh.
I was wondering if I could get your opinion on Scott Adams and his thoughts.
Oh, so this is funny because did you see that Kanye retweeted that video? I thought it was brilliant. Very, very brilliant. So for those of you guys that don't follow Scott Adams, I actually wasn't following him, and he sort of, he pretty much said what I'm saying up here, that Kanye West ripped a hole in reality because he was describing on a little whiteboard that, Candace Owens is supposed to be over here, and Kanye West being a part of culture is supposed to be over here, and that him tweeting those 7 words ripped a hole in reality, and that what we're going to see is pretty much a tremendous earthquake in these next coming months and leading up to 2020 and beyond. So I don't know all of his thoughts, so I'm not going to sit up here and say that I co-signed to everything because for all, that's how they get you. So this means that you agree with all of this, but in his assessment of why what Kanye West did was so significant, I 100% agree with him. He was spot on. It was a really smart analysis. Oh, I love Jordan. He asked me my thoughts on the Jordan Peterson phenomenon. It's phenomenal that Jordan Peterson became famous for saying, sit up straight, brush your teeth, take a shower. Literally, Jordan Peterson wrote a book called 12 Rules of Success, and you would think this was common sense, right? But it became like an international bestseller because somehow the left has created this idea that everything needs to be protested. Like the idea of showering and brushing your teeth is a